Hey guys, in this interview I'm speaking to Edna Keep. She is a real estate investor who went from being a single mother with basically a really bad situation to investing in multiple properties over the course of the next 3 to 5 years. So I'm super excited to see how she did it, the mindset shifts, and some practical advice for you guys in the audience. So Edna, how are you?
I'm doing really good, Ross. How are you?
Doing well. So, for those people who are hearing from you for the first time, can you tell us a little bit about your background? And what was the situation that you were in before you got into real estate?
Well, I was a single mom at the age of 16, so it really kind of limited my options at that point. I had held different kind of low-end jobs for many years, and then I actually got into being a financial advisor. And I sold mutual funds and life insurance. So that was kind of my start at making some decent money. And after doing that for about 15 years, I got introduced to real estate. And that's when I really found something that it felt a lot more right to me than being a mutual fund financial advisor. So now I'm more like a real estate financial advisor.
Okay, that's an interesting shift. So, was there something in particular that really you learned your skills from? Do you bring that across from your mutual funds time? That's where you learned your skills that transferred to real estate, or?
You know what? It really was. One of the things when we started taking our real estate classes, one of my favorite classes right off the get-go was called Creative Finance. And that's where I got to learn that you could buy real estate with other people's money. You could get vendor take-backs, which is really seller financing. And I just loved that idea. I thought, well, how cool is that? I can buy real estate with other people's money. So I studied that and I started practicing it. And in a very short period of time, we'd actually set a goal to own 50 doors in 5 years. We thought that was really aggressive. But we thought if we did everything that our mentors had taught us, that we could probably do it. And we actually ended up buying 50 doors in 18 months. And primarily all with other people's money. And that's when I kind of found the sweet spot, because I realized that I could talk to investors and get investors to invest in real estate, especially after I put mutual funds for so many years, and that was where so many people kept most of the money.
Okay, so 2 questions from that. When you say
Sure.
doors, does that mean properties?
No, it actually, so if you buy say a side-by-side duplex, that would be 2 doors. If you bought a fourplex, that would be 4 doors. And if you bought a 24-unit apartment building, that would be 24 doors.
Okay, that makes sense. So basically, door is where a family or whatever can live in.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. The next question, with the finance terms you're talking about, what do they mean? So you're talking about indentured loans and using other people's money. What does that exactly entail?
Well, how it works actually, because they still to this day have people say, well, why would people want to give me money to invest in real estate? Well, it doesn't really work like that. How it works is you provide a very, very valuable service to investors by helping them invest in real estate. So how we help people invest in real estate is I have a system that shows people how they can build a passive income over the years by investing in multifamily. So that's our value to the relationship. The value of the investor is their money, but our value is the knowledge, the team. We're the one who finds the deal, so we bring a lot more to the table than the investor does with just their money.
Very cool. Okay, so investor brings the money to the table, you find the deal, you find the right properties, you basically make their life easy, give them an investment that is simple for them to just say yes to.
Correct. And we consider our investors armchair investors. So they really just sit back and collect their cash flow out of the deal, and we do all the work.
Okay. So how does it work? How do you find your investors? How do you find the properties? Walk us through that process?
Sure. Well, when we first started, we actually built our power team, and one of our power team members was a realtor, and we told him what we were looking for. We were looking for investment properties that would cash flow. And so he took us around to a few different properties and showed us, but a lot of them were pretty rough. And the first property we actually ended up buying, it was quite a funny story, but he walked us up to this apartment complex, and we'd always known it as just a straight apartment complex. We didn't realize that they were selling off individual condo units in there. So he said, yeah, they just condo converted this building, and now they're selling them off as individual condos. And I said, well, that's so interesting, because my daughter, my oldest daughter, the one I was a single mom to, just moved into one of them. I said, is that one for sale? And he said, yes, it is. And I said, well, then I'll buy it, because then I know I have a good renter. So that was actually our very, very first purchase, was one that my daughter was already living in.
Really?
Yeah. And then just to expand on that a little bit, within a short time of her living there, she was telling me that the people right next door to her had lived in the same apartment complex for 17 years. And I said, okay, well then I'm buying that one too. So I ended up buying both of them. They were side by side, 2-bedroom condos, and we still own them to this day.
All right. That works well.
Yeah.
Okay. So is this, when people want to get into this, do they consider this a full-time job, or what kind of time commitment are they looking at to get started in this space?
Well, if they want to do what I do, which is attract investors and stuff like that, you can start part-time, definitely. We started part-time. I was still working as a financial advisor. I took some training. I always recommend to people, don't just go out and buy a house because you heard it was a good idea. You really need to know what you're doing, because if you don't, you can really get burnt. Because there's a lot of people out there that are just salespeople, and they just want to sell you a property. So they'll tell you whatever it is you want to hear. There's certain areas that we avoid. There's certain types of properties that we avoid. If you don't have any education, you just don't know any of that. So we really spent probably the first year in the business, we spent a lot of time on education and hanging around people who had already bought quite a few properties. And we actually even joint ventured with somebody who had bought, I think maybe 20, 25 doors. And that actually helped us take some of the fear away by partnering with somebody who'd already bought a bunch of doors.
Okay, so really what you're saying there is the first thing you want to do is get a mentor or get someone who's done it before. That makes your... Okay, actually, what I should be asking you here, what can go wrong if you don't get it right?
Okay, so I believe what you asked me is what are some of the things that could go wrong. And I was going to tell you about a couple of students of mine that they actually just started with me just over a year ago. So they've been watching some late night TV, and they decided that they wanted to get into real estate. They didn't want to go on to university. They wanted to be rich. They want nice cars and nice house, but they didn't want to go to university. So they decided that they were going to buy this little house. In our city, we got an area that we consider a bad area, and it's called the Hood. And so they had went with a realtor and looked at this little Hood house, which was about all they could afford, because I think they had like $10,000 or $15,000 for a down payment. And their idea was that they would fix it up and flip it and make some money, right? Isn't that what the classic that everybody watches on TV, right? You're going to fix up this house and flip it. Yeah. So they thought they would do that, and they looked at the house, and they decided to go back and look at the house at night. And they went back into the same neighborhood, and they were so nervous they would not even get out of their vehicle. So they decided that they needed to do something different. So they'd been talking to this one mortgage broker, and she was asking them how it was going, and they said, I just don't feel comfortable buying that Hood house. It just like we couldn't even get out of the vehicle at night. And she says, you know what you guys need is a mentor. And so she actually introduced them to me, and they signed up for my program. And and now, and it's just over a year. They started with me of May of last year, and they now own 74 doors, and they bought them with none of their own money.
Brilliant.
Yeah, and they learned to attract investors. They partnered with some of the senior people in my mastermind group. They're hard workers. They're great guys. They're great personalities, so they're easy. They talk easily to the tenants and stuff like that. And they're just hard little workers. And, so it's worked really, really well. But yeah, absolutely. You've got to get a mentor. I always tell people, you know what? Whatever you want to do or be in life, get a mentor or a coach who has done it. Not just somebody who's going to tell you how to do it, but somebody who's actually done it.
Very cool. Now, I've got something here of yours called 90 Days to 5K. What is that?
That's a program that I developed about a year and a half ago, I guess. About 3 years ago, I developed a mastermind program where I brought a bunch of people together who had been asking me, Edna, how did you do what you did? How did you grow your portfolio so quickly? And how do you use investor capital? And what does that mean? And, I kept getting all these questions. So I decided to set up a mastermind. And one day during a strategy call with someone about my mastermind, they said to me, I'm really interested in what you do, Edna, but I don't want to take a whole year to learn it. He says, do you have a program where I can learn it in a much quicker time period? And I said, yes, I do. And I built it on the phone as I was talking to him. So what I ended up doing is I sold it, and then I sold it to more people right away, and I ended up with a 90 to 5K program. And what that means is not that you're going to be making $5,000 a month in 90 days when you're done the class, but that you'll know exactly what it's going to take for you to make $5,000 a month in passive income in when you're done the 90-day program, but you'll be making it within 3 to 5 years. And we say that with all integrity because we actually did it in 18 months. So we feel we can now teach people the shortcuts, and they should be able to do it easily in 3 to 5 years.
Super cool. All right. Mm-hmm. So talk about 5 essential systems. Can you talk us through that a little bit?
Sure. Well, like I just finished saying, your very first step number 1 is to get a mentor. So I think like with any business that you're working in, anything you're doing, you should have a mentor or a coach who has already done what you're trying to do. For example, if you're trying to build long-term wealth through apartment buildings, you should have a mentor that is doing that or has done that. If you want to learn the fix and flip world, then you should have a mentor who's doing that sort of thing. So step 1, get a mentor. Step 2, get around people, even besides your mentor, who are doing the same thing that you're wanting to do. And that's a confidence builder and a mindset thing, because there's so many people out in the world that'll just, beat the crap out of your idea. Oh, that's so wrong. Oh, you're just kidding yourself thinking you can become a real estate millionaire. And who do you think you are? And oh, just go get a regular job, that sort of thing. So being around like-minded people is really, really important if you're going to continue down the path that you started. Step 3 is to build a team, because in real estate, it's not a lone wolf or lone ranger mentality that you need to have. And the reason is there's so many different areas of real estate that you just can't be really good at everything. For example, maybe you're somebody who's really good at finding a deal, but maybe you're not good at finding tenants. Maybe you're somebody who's really good at raising the capital, but you're not somebody who wants to manage the tenants. So I very strongly believe in building a team of professionals. And that team, just so you know, would consist of like realtors and mortgage brokers and lawyers and accountants and that sort of thing. And really, they're a good board of advisors for you, like how to set up a joint venture agreement, different stuff like that. And I always include your coach in your power as well. And another thing is continuous education. Always, always, always be learning, because you might learn one strategy and practice it for a while, like maybe it's the fix and flip, but that's not your way to long-term wealth. To me, fix and flip is just like getting another job. And if you're somebody who's already, really busy with a regular job, you're really just signing up for a second job. So really define what you want to do, what you want to be, and make sure that your goals are defined enough to go in the route that you actually want to go. And so education is so huge, because there's all kinds of things that come up all the time. For example, mortgage rules change, tenancy rules change when you're dealing with tenants. I just can't think of more, but legal rules change. So you can't go read all the law books. You just need to have a lawyer, right? So education is a big thing, and listen to the people that you surround yourself with. And then step 5 is just really work at it. Work at yourself. Personal development is a really huge part of becoming wealthy, and your mindset has to equal your education. So work on your mindset as much as you do on your business.
Very, very cool. Question to you: what have I not asked you that we should have asked by now?
Oh, that's a good question. One of the things that I get asked frequently is, how do you get investors to invest with you? How I explain that is, I explain to them our value to a deal. I explain to them why we're worth 50% of the deal or more, from all the angles that we bring to the table, so that when all is said and done, there's never going to be any question about why you should get 50% of the deal.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess the question there is, how do you find the investors in the first place?
Well, I actually have a worksheet that I put my students through, and it's called the Find the Money worksheet. And there's money all around you. The first thing is being open to it, being open to the opportunity that somebody could actually give you money. So I think, first of all, you've got to increase your own confidence and understand why people would want to give you money. And then you just get out there, like any business that you're trying to build, and you network, and you let people know what you're doing. You let people know how you can help them. And like any other business or any other problem solver, you show your value, and people will get to recognize it. People will start following you. I do a lot of Facebook videos, mm-hmm. and I have a lot of people that are trying to learn what I do. And at the same time, I get investors attracted to that same group, because they want the education, but they don't necessarily want to do the work. So we've actually attracted investors to us by saying, yeah, I want to learn more about that. When they realize all the work involved with it, they realize they just want to be on the armchair side. They don't want to be the one that does actually all the work.
Okay. So on that note, I've had a lot of people say that the hardest part isn't actually finding the money, but it's more getting the properties in the current US market. Is there any accuracy to that, or is that just their experience?
Well, you know what? I think different people have different challenges. Like, I don't have any challenge finding the money, because I've been in the financial services industry now for over 20 years. But a lot of people struggle with finding the money. And when students first come to me, lots of them can find deals, but they can't find the money. And yet there are people out there too that will say to me, Edna, I can't find any deal. I think you can find a deal in any given market. You just got to be, you got to have your nose to the ground, and you got to really be networking, and you got to let everybody know what you're looking for. Because if people don't know what you're looking for, and if your business is the best kept secret, how can they bring you what you're looking for? How can the universe even bring you what you're looking for if you're not clear yourself?
Very cool. All right. I think that's much of what I need to ask you, Edna.
Okay.
Final few questions. Which books have had the biggest impact in your life and your career as both as a real estate investor and as your own personal development?
Well, one of the books that I reread many, many times was Think and Grow Rich. So I'm a big mindset proponent, Yeah, Napoleon Hill. Very, very, very good book. But one of the books that I read just in the last few years that really made a difference for me too was Robert Kiyosaki's book called Why Do A Students Work for C Students and B Students Work for the Government? And it really gave me a different take on life because I was always a C student. And it was a really, really good book explaining, how C students really don't excel in a classroom setting because it's all, kind of forced learning, memorizing stuff. And that's not really what entrepreneurs are good at. Your A students are great at memorizing stuff, but that isn't what you need out in the real world. So that was actually a real eye opener for me to get to understand entrepreneurship a lot better.
Okay, very cool. If people want to learn more about you and the systems that you teach and how they can get into real estate themselves, where can they go?
Probably the best place to go would be, I have a free webinar that I offer to people, and they can find it at www.the5yearplan.ca, and that's and then the number 5yearplan.ca. Or they can go to my website. I've got a lot of good content on there. I've got some blog posts, and I do videos all the time. And that's just at ednakeep.com.
Brilliant. Guys, like I said, this is amazing stuff. If you do want to get into the real estate market, especially in the US, definitely get in touch. Actually, it's worldwide, isn't it, what you do?
Worldwide, what I do when it comes to raising capital, but primarily we've invested in Canada, actually.
Oh, there you go. Okay, guys, if you do want to look into the real estate market and you want to learn how to invest using other people's money, get in touch with Edna at the5yearplan.ca. Otherwise, we'll see you all in the next episode.